Not a big fan of this, to be quite honest. It's been bear spotted around here lately. It's always encouraging. Gotta do a little crawling to get in here. Welcome to a series called the Book of Enoch, where we're going through the Book of Enoch verse by verse, because Enoch is by far the best example to see what the end times will be like the days of Noah. He was the great-grandfather of Noah, and his prophecies were revealed by Jesus and Jude. So it's important we understand it to see what that'll be like, and where we are as we've hit that place where God has given his promises, and we're about to see the consequences of fallen angels sleeping with women. So we're going to pick that up in chapter 6. And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Semjaza, who was the leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. So we're going to pause there, because this is very biblical, and Enoch gets in detail, and Genesis does not give a lot of detail of this. Because here, we're going to spend many episodes talking about this, and Enoch starts to name these fallen angels, with Semjaza being the leader. We can see this same event in Genesis 6, starting verse 1. Now it came to pass, when the men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves and all whom they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not strive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. Now, this is a big deal, because we don't get a lot of detail in Genesis of what's taking place here, and we're going to get a ton of detail in it. But ultimately, what happened was certain angels who lusted after women then went and married them and had children with them, the Nephilim. And some of them were giant, not all of them were giant. Now, I actually met a guy in the jail last week who said his grandmother told him that he is of Nephilim descent. They're still on this earth. I'm not saying that guy is who it is, but that's the first time I ever had a human come up to me and say, I've been told this by my ancestors. So that DNA is definitely still on this earth, and always will be, until the heaven and earth are decreated and all that is thrown into the lake of fire. But in the meantime, this is what we're dealing with. And this is an important aspect of understanding, because it's real and it's here, and people just don't simply understand what's taking place with these fallen angels. So let's go back. And it came to pass, when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. Then Semjaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear you will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. So here their leader, Semjaza. Now this is interesting, because biblically, when we look at the hierarchy of angels, we have Satan, then Michael, and then everybody else is below him. And we don't, it's the first time we kind of see this. Well, here's the leader of this group. We know that Abaddon is the king of the bottomless pit. So there's somebody that's in charge. But this is the first time we kind of see that as far as the fallen angels go. And what he's saying here is, he's saying, well, wait a second. My fear is that I'm going to go do this thing, and you guys are going to back out because you're too afraid. This is, I would argue, where that kind of nature in humans comes from, where I'm willing to do this bad thing, but you guys are going to do it too, right? Oh, yeah, we're going to do that thing too. Semjaza. Sound familiar? I think we've all been down this path before. Let's keep going. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then swear they all together, and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And they were in all 200. who decided in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon, and they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. So ultimately what you have here is you have 200 demons, well, fallen angels, and their leader, Semjaza, who are all essentially taking this oath on Mount Hermon. They even called the mountain that because this is where we took our oath. This is where we made this agreement, and this is where we're sticking to it. And they also agreed to take on the consequences of their actions as well. So we're going to stop there. In the next episode, we're going to get into the names of a few of these and their consequences and how Enoch kind of talked to God on their behalf. It's really fascinating. So there you go. This is the beginning of the Nephilim and the consequences of this too, because the reason the Nephilim became men of renown is the angels taught them about metalwork. They taught them how to make weapons. They taught them how to fight. They taught them how to form armies. They taught them all that stuff. While the rest of humanity had no idea, and they're still like picking up rocks and sticks and stuff. These people were the first to conquer mankind. So any thoughts or insight, definitely put that below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel with Patreon. The link is also below. But the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests. So never hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.